Hello everyone, Jacquie Edwards here. Thank you for joining me today. So, today I want to talk about getting viewings with agents for your rent to rents. I know that quite a few people have been struggling with this as rent to rent happens more, as I guess it gets more popular. The agents are starting to be a little bit standoffish. Also, there's not quite as much need in a lot of areas, so like agents aren't super desperate. So, and when you think about agents, you have to think most of these people are employees. This is not their agency, this is not their business, this is just their job, and they want their job to be as simple as possible. And the way that their job can be as simple as possible is if they just do the norm and they just follow instructions. So most agencies, most businesses have a set of processes and procedures that say do X, Y, and Z, and that's the end of the day, that's your job. So when they get you calling them as a renter saying you're interested in doing a long-term let, that you do things a little bit differently, they're going to be like, oh my God, we don't want to do things differently. We just want to do the same old thing. So if they have you calling on one day and they have a normal, tenants, family, whatever calling on another day, they're going to pick the family every time because it's easier. They don't have to explain something new to the landlord. They don't have to explain something new to their boss. They don't have to think differently. And most people, they just want to go to their job, get it done, and go home. They don't want to, do anything crazy. They don't want to do anything new. So that's what you need to just understand where that agent is coming from. So if you're calling them and all you hear is no, 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 we're not interested in that, we don't do that, we don't do that, then just see it from their angle and try to think through how can you make it as easy as possible for them to say yes to you, for them to even just show you the property. Because I know a lot of people are struggling even getting those viewings. So you'll call up, and again, as part of that agency's process, they normally have a computer system that they want to put your details into. So you'll say, I want to go and view 123 Main Street. I saw it on Rightmove. And they'll be like, okay, that's great. What's your name? What's your phone number? All right, who's going to be living in this property? Now that's a question that pretty much they all will ask. Who's going to be living in this property? Now you've got a couple of options here. The easiest and simplest one is to just say, I'm going to be living in the property. Then most of the time you are talking to a receptionist. They're going to type that in. You'll probably view the property with somebody different, and nobody will ever care what you said. Now, I know that doesn't resonate with a lot of people. I've done both ways. So another option is to say, I'm looking on behalf of my company and you could leave it at that. I'm looking on behalf of my company. Done. Or if you want to give a little bit more information, I'm looking on behalf of my company for our clients. That's, it can just be keep it as simple as possible, basically. So that's true. You are looking on behalf of your company. And when I say it, I try to, talk to them like I'm just an employee. Like, this is just my job. I'm looking on behalf of my company. We put our clients in it. I'm a relocation agent, that type of thing. Keep it simple, as simple as possible. Again, most of the time when you call an agent, it's a receptionist answering the phone. She's just got her questions she's got to ask. She wants her job to be simple. Everybody wants their job to be simple. So when you go through and start explaining, oh, I'm doing rent to rent, or oh, we do these long-term lets, and we change the house to an HMO, or we change it to service accommodation, she's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what to say. Or you're talking to like the most junior letting agent at the branch, and he might be like, this is way too complicated. Don't think I can ask my boss about this. I'm too new. I'm just going to tell them, no, we can't do that. So you want to keep it simple. The easiest yes is, yep, it's going to be me living in the property. Then that's just normal. That's what they're expecting. Then when you go to do the viewing, you look at the property, you get to the end of the viewing, and then you can say something like, oh, really interested in this property. We work slightly differently. So would it be possible to set up a meeting with your manager? Because again, oftentimes when you're doing the viewing, you're there with one of the most kind of junior agents. So you want to get to a decision maker. But I did have one time when I told whoever answered the phone when I scheduled the viewing that the property was for me. I went to the viewing and the guy must have had notes. So we got to the end and I'm like, look, I'm looking on behalf of my company. And he's like, oh, but my notes say that you were looking on behalf of you. And he was like, rrr. But I mean, he's never going to remember me tomorrow. I mean, these agents, that's what they do, is they show people around. And at the end of the day, he still wants to make the sale. I said, hey, would it be possible we work slightly differently? Let's talk to your boss. And then I got a meeting with the manager. So just think it through a little bit from their perspective. How can you make their job as easy as possible? Because if you're making their job hard, they're not going to want to work with you. You need to make their job easy. That's where you're adding value. You're making their life super, super, super simple. You're not doing anything out of the ordinary. You're just doing something like a company let. Every agent will know what a company let is. You're just keeping life simple. So either you're viewing, if you're struggling to get viewings, you're calling agents and they're saying no, then just pretend you're viewing it for yourself just to get those viewings, because it's so, so important to start doing viewings. The more you do, the more confident you'll get and the easier this will be. If you want to tell them a bit about what you're doing, again, keep it simple. Save your longer explanations for when you're in person with somebody. It's a lot easier to build a relationship and rapport when you're face-to-face with somebody than trying to explain it over the phone. If you start explaining long, complicated things over the phone, people are going to be like, nope, too hard. We don't do that. So you can call agents, or on Rightmove, you can email them. They've got buttons, contact the agent. You can just send messages and bang them out through there. If you're going to do it that way, I would suggest giving them, my name is Jackie, my phone number is XYZ, I'm interested in this property. I would like to view it on Monday at 7 p.m. or Wednesday at 3 p.m. Give them 2 options of times, so that way you're not going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They'll just say, okay, great, we've got availability at this time, done. And maybe they'll ask you a couple more questions, but that's going to help you get more viewings. The more viewings you do, the easier life is going to be, the better you're going to be at explaining things. But the key is to get those viewings. And I know I've had lots of questions in my VIP group from people that are saying, we're not getting viewings. I call and I call and I call, and the agents are just saying, no, we don't do that. So I want you to keep it simple and get those viewings any way that you can. Don't worry about wasting somebody else's time. That letting agent, that's their job. They get paid to be there. You are not wasting their time. Don't worry about making a mistake. They're not going to remember you after a couple days' time. Unless you do something crazy like throw up all over their shoes, they're not going to remember you after a couple of days, because that's what they're doing. They're just showing people around, and there's going to be all kinds of strange people that they're showing. So don't worry if you do anything crazy. All right, I've got a couple of questions. So Patar said, what's the difference between a company let and a management let? So I use the words company let, so I say we're similar to a company let because that's what agents all know. That's what landlords know. So that's going to be familiar terminology to them. At the end of the day, I use whatever contract is appropriate for that situation. It might be a management agreement. It might be a commercial lease agreement. A company let agreement is slightly different. So it's saying, yes, ABC company is renting this property for the use of their employees. Because your employees aren't going to be in it, you're really not going to want to use a company let agreement, but you can say it's similar to a company let. Job done, everybody will understand what you're talking about. So that's what I do. OJ on Instagram said, do you need a guarantor when first starting? It depends. So I never needed one. Most of my properties were direct to landlords, and none of the landlords needed any. I have had some through agents, and because the agent was quite desperate and they really wanted somebody to rent this property out, there was a whole bunch of situations around that. They didn't even bother to credit check me or anything, and we just went ahead and signed the contract. So oftentimes you may, so if you're going through an agent and you don't meet the referencing criteria yourself, then they may ask for a guarantor. If your company is quite new and you want to do it through your company, then they might ask you to personally guarantee it or to find another guarantor. So you might need to find a guarantor. All right, that's it. I'm going to go. My mom just flew into town, so I'm going to go and hang out with her. We just got back from the airport. So have a wonderful week. Make sure you have checked the website, because I've got an Unlocking the Secrets live version coming up on the 21st of September, I believe it is. So it is available on the website now. So if you want to spend a day with me learning everything about rent to rent, then put the 21st of September in your diary and get on to the website renttorentacademy.co.uk and book your space now. And yeah, I think that's everything. Keep it simple, get those viewing books, and I will see you next week.